22, the Lord, I had a series.
Yeah, you may have to rest your chin on the.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my trick.
Okay.
It keeps me from shaking too.
So in June of 2022, I had a series of visitations with the Lord. And one of the things he told me was, your shame is going to be known. I was not excited. I cried for days and night. And during those visitations, I even suggested that if you want somebody to know, it would be better if you go to them and tell him or tell them. And shortly after that, I ended up on a mission trip. After that, I ended up back in Mexico on a second mission trip where I met a little girl in a children's home. She was so new to the home, they thought she was 15. And during the time that I was talking with her, we found out they thought she was 14. We found out she was actually 15. And that night, on my way to my room, it hit me. This little girl had been rescued from sex trafficking. They thought she was 14, and she had most likely missed one of the most important milestones in her life, which is a quinceañera. So my heart just broke for her. And the next morning, I talked to the director, and I said, what do you do for the girls? And he said, we try to do something, but a dress for a girl is just not in the budget. And I said, well, I'd like to locate a dress for her and do something for her. So I came home and I started searching. And I looked and priced dresses. I posted on Facebook. I could not find a dress anywhere. With clothes, donated clothes. And he says, your vision's not big enough. There's more than one girl. So the following year, this is in February, I was in a resale shop and I saw a dress, but I didn't think it was fancy enough. I didn't think it fit the bill. I was in Israel. Bugged me. And so finally, as soon as the airplane lands, and the dress was half price. Then I did a post, and I ended up with close to 40 dresses by the time it was finally said, let's plan it in June. I was supposed to meet up with another mission group, and I would come tag along with them. But I also had 40 dresses and 3 suitcases that hit the maximum limit. And something happened with that mission group's flight. They had to completely cancel their trip, and it left me and 2 interns there with the girls. So we were having lunch with the girls, and we found out the girls that were graduating from junior high and high school were actually trying to borrow dresses from classmates. There, it's a tradition that you dress your best. You really dress up. And these girls, had been rescued from sex trafficking, abuse, and going to school with kids that had families, and they were living in a home. So we pulled out the dresses. We planned to go back to the home. We pulled out the dresses, and we had a mini fashion show. We also got the girls who were going to turn 15 fitted for quinceañera dresses, and that was the beginning of Beauty for Ashes. So I ended up going back. I knew I had to go back again, so I ended up going back. And this time, during the trip, I was asked, will you share how God got you here? And before I knew it, yes came out of my mouth 3 times. I was slightly irritated with the Holy Spirit. I said, what am I going to talk about? Because I had already irritated people. I didn't go into missions the traditional way and have the traditional background as most missionaries. And he says, why don't you talk about the time you were kidnapped? Why don't you talk about the time you were raped? Why don't you talk about the time you were homeless? Why don't you talk about all these things that had happened to me that I had been hiding from people? I did a very good job. In fact, when we were in Haltom City, that's when I was homeless. I was sleeping in my car, and this wonderful woman of God walked up to me. I was in the bookstore, and she says, where are you living? And I knew right then. So I had to confess, I was not living anywhere. And each time that something would happen to me, I'd say, okay, Lord, I'm going to see you do something with this. Because I really could not see how God can take this disastrous life of mine and turn it into something awesome. So when I started sharing with the girls my story, the girls stopped fiddling. They started paying attention. And the director and his wife noticed that they had a point of connection with someone who could say, I've been where you are. I've experienced the things that you've experienced. And if you make Jesus your best friend, he will get you where he wants you to be in the future. And that's when I realized. I came home and I told the Lord, all right, Lord, I get it. I truly get it. Everything that I had been holding back, everything that I had been hiding, and there were occasions where there was a divine appointment in my life and I could share with another woman what got me through a rape, what got me through the miscarriage. I was pressured. People wanted me to have an abortion, and I wouldn't do it. I put it in the Lord's hands. And he is the one that took that child home. So after that, I ended up in a conference in Houston. And one woman said, I see you working with trafficked women, trafficked girls. And then another woman said, I see you working with women. And I'm like, okay, that's one for the shelf. I wasn't saying, okay, no, but it just didn't make any sense to me. Was it a year ago, Diane? We were in Austin? Has it been a year? Okay. So a year ago, we went to pray at the Capitol in Austin. There, I met the founder of the Justice Foundation, Alan Parker. And the Lord told me, before you leave, you go offer to help him. Tell him you're a paralegal and offer to help him. He had thousands of testimonies from women who have had abortion and who have been hurt by abortion that he needed summarized. And so I started volunteering for him. And out of that, the Lord started speaking to me about the woman who's post-abortive. And I said, oh, I get it now. Because he's got a message for those women. And it also ties into the shame that they hide. And we are supposed to teach the others. It's not just in the ways of the Lord, but if I can share my story and prevent one girl from making the mistake and having that moment in the garden with another, if I can prevent that, I'm going to do it. Because I've realized that my shame has turned into his glory, and it just gives him. So I do have cards. If you have dresses in your closet, your daughter has outgrown dresses and you want to donate them, I'm happy to receive them and take them to girls. I am opening a second Cincinnati closet, I call it Kinsey Closet, in Columbia in January. And so 7 girls need a dress for their birthday. And my goal is to have enough dresses for all the girls to have one for Easter. So, thank you.
Get these dresses distributed. Sometimes just like a beautiful new garment can transform your life. Think about wedding dresses. When you wear a wedding dress, you just feel different, or if you wear a prom dress or something like that. And so that is one thing that the book of Zechariah that I took note of, and that's actually what I think happens over here, is in the book of Zechariah, it talks about the changing of the garments. The old filthy garments being exchanged for the beautiful royal robes. And so that's what I think happens over here. If there's anything that we feel ashamed of or whatever, we can just trade those garments, give them to Jesus, and he will replace them with beautiful garments. And so a robe of righteousness, a royal priesthood. We're called out to be a royal priesthood. I'm going to tell you just real quick, I make these creams. I started doing this maybe the second or third Queen Esther. And I took it from the book of Esther because there's a list of oils that Esther was purified with before she went to see the king. So I came up with this recipe, and so I put 8 essential oils into these creams, and one of the creams is made with coconut oil, sweet almond oil, and a little bit of beeswax, and then the 8 essential oils. So that's the old version, but it's still great. And then there's some samples back there if you want to put it on or whatever. But then this year, I don't know if y'all have heard of like beef tallow. It's the latest, greatest thing. So anyway, I took organic suet beef tallow and then put the 8 essential oils in this one. So you can check, you can decide, but they're $10 each. I do have a couple back there that are $5 each, the small purple ones. But anyway, they are there if you want to buy them. Let's see, V, would you like to stand up and tell about your breads and cakes? You want to come up here? And actually, I'm going to give 2 away. Raise your hand if you want one. Please. Okay. Just hold this.
Oh, thank you. So my name is Veronica. My husband and I started a micro bakery here in Mansfield. I've been praying for several years to God on what to do after I had my baby. And he kind of just put it in my heart to start baking. So I've been baking for the past year. Oh, thank you. So I've been baking for the past year, and everything kind of started taking off really fast. Just 2 weeks ago, we were at Tractor Supply event. It was a farmer's market event, and we pretty much sold out. And then this weekend, my husband went to Green's Produce in Arlington, and they took some of our loaves to sell. And we just opened up about a month ago. So here we are. Thank you.
Her husband is actually my daughter-in-law's brother. And, you know, before my son and daughter-in-law moved, they were doing farmers markets. My son was doing vegetables and all that kind of thing. And then, so they've just continued on. Now, they both have full-time jobs as well. And they have a little daughter who's 5.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
they're, multitasking, as
Yes.
you can imagine. And so, she's selling her bread over there, and there's some sourdough chocolate chip cookies and stuff like that. So she'll
Yeah.
be over there. So
Thank you.
they are very connected.